You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. LSU football is back on the practice field today. Brian Kelly did announce that Gerald Chapman is filling in this spring as the defensive line coach for Jamar Cain, who, of course, we know was hired by Sean Payton to be the new defensive line coach for the Denver Broncos. So Gerald Chapman has a good opportunity to audition here. He was on staff in an off-field role under Ed Ogeron. He, when Brian Kelly didn't retain him, he spent a year at Tulane, was at Colorado prior as well when Coach Prime was hired there. Now he'll be back, or he's back at LSU, and he's got a great opportunity. So Gerald Chapman will be the interim defensive line coach during spring, and then ultimately Brian Kelly will make that hire after spring when he can properly vet all the candidates he's considering. A couple of tidbits from today's practice as the Tigers are back on the practice field this morning. There was a little bit of good news as Miles Frazier was back out there. Of course, Miles Frazier is going to be counted on to be a starting offensive lineman. Came in last year from FIU as a transfer, was really impactful both at guard and tackle for the Tigers, and ended up being a starting player for them by the end of the season. He had been missing, and again, with all of the defections on the offensive line in the transfer portal, they're low on numbers. So getting Miles Frazier back was good. There were a couple of absences defensively today. Denver Harris and J.K. Johnson were both out today, and it caused some shuffling in the secondary. Let me first let you hear from Brian Kelly talking about Frazier's return, though. This is number 7 news from today. Brian Kelly on Miles Frazier.
Yeah, he's had a good week. He was back in the rotation today, so missed a little bit of time, but I think it was just a small hiccup in his development. So kind of stepped right in there and didn't even notice he had been out.
Okay, so that's great. Totally minor, didn't matter. We say it all the time about spring. The most important part of spring football is get through spring football healthy. Look around college football. Every single day, you'll see stories of players being injured in spring practice. We're going to do around the SEC coming up in a little bit. Georgia, former 5-star freakish defender, defensive lineman, done for the rest of spring with an injury. They hope to have him back in time for the fall. But again, the most important thing in spring is just be healthy. Don't suffer any injuries or setbacks and have people ready to go. I mentioned the secondary. And first of all, we've seen a lot of guys bounce around because of these injuries so far in spring. Brian Kelly did talk about structuring. This is 3. He talked about structuring practice and how they're doing it given all of the injuries that they have.
We've been very, I think, deliberate in terms of the way we've gone about our practice schedule, but it functioned very similar. I think we probably have chopped maybe 10, 15 minutes off of a normal schedule, but have done everything that we normally would do. I think we've just abbreviated it a little bit. I think Brad's been really good in terms of making sure that, his focus has been, technique oriented more so than a heavy dose of contact. And so I think that's worked out pretty good. So, going into this weekend, I think we're in a pretty good position where we're, rotating too deep.
So they're making it through, not as contact oriented, assessing as they need to as they go along, which is fine. They're also using this opportunity to get a lot of guys reps in different spaces. Freshman Javen Toviano is one of them, who they have moved him so far in this spring all around. This is the benefit of having an early enrollee. Like, spring is worthless for players who are established. Jaden Daniels does not need spring football. When I think about Harold Perkins, when I think about Greg Brooks, they don't need spring football. They're established players. They're great players already. You just need them to be healthy. It's not to say you can't improve. It's not to say you don't ever need practice. My point is, this is an opportunity for guys who are either first-time starters to get their feet wet, to be ready they're jogging now so they can sprint when fall camp begins, or for guys to at least establish themselves in a pole position for when camp begins, when they're trying to win a job. That's true spring value. So you look at Javen Toviano, freshman, early enrollee. That's a guy that needs spring. He can make strides in spring, so when fall comes around, they have a better sense of where they want to use him and how he can best fit in to this defense. So here is Brian Kelly on the freshman defensive back.
Yeah, he's playing some nickel for us right now and some safety, so he's a guy that has that flexibility. We'll play him a little bit at corner here in the last week, going into the last week, but right now he's the guy that we have singled out is playing a little bit of nickel and safety.
Nickel and safety. He's going to play a little bit of corner and see how that all works out. Remember, there's no Deuce Chestnut this spring. When J.K. Johnson and Denver Harris were both absent from practice today. So your cornerback room is even thinner. You saw Zy Alexander and LaTerrence Welch run as the first-team cornerbacks today. So when you look at Toviano, that's a guy you could say, all right, well, let's see how you do on the outside. Let's see how you look in the nickel. Remember, you could Sage Ryan, who primarily has been a nickel, can also play safety, but has primarily been a nickel. But Greg Brooks last year was your starting nickel. Well, does Greg Brooks kick back and play safety? Joe Foucher's gone. Jay Ward is gone. You've got Major Burns back. So is it Major Burns and Greg Brooks back at safety? Does Sage Ryan kick back? These are the questions that you can tinker with in spring. So it's a great benefit to do that. And then with Harris and Johnson out at the cornerback today, it was a great opportunity for Zy Alexander and for LaTerrence Welch to take first-team reps at cornerback. I'm going to tell you this. Y'all know I've been bullish on LaTerrence Welch here. Not necessarily because of anything we've seen on the field, but because I love the dude's attitude. I think he certainly has the physical ability. Otherwise, he wouldn't be at LSU. And I know a lot of the coaches really like him a lot. They're waiting for him to take that next step. And that's a dude who he's going to have a ton of competition at that spot this year, but would have given an arm to play at LSU, which is why he's here. When everybody else transferred after the season, he could have gone, he stayed. And he's going to battle for a job with a bunch of dudes they brought in who were also very highly regarded and have been starters at other places. But when you look at the experience at corner, we're looking at a lot of talented players. We've talked about this a bunch, but Denver Harris was a former 5-star. He's played in 5 career games. Played in 5 games for A&M this year. That's it. J.K. Johnson, 2 years at Ohio State, played in 15 games total, combined over 2 years. Deuce Chestnut, he's been a 2-year starter at Syracuse, played in 24 games. Zy Alexander has been a 3-year guy at Southeastern. He's played in 30 games. So those guys have had a lot of experience. But Harris and Johnson don't have a ton of experience. I mean, LaTerrence Welch in one season played in 13 games. He played in all 13 games a year ago for LSU. Not much of it on defense, a lot of special teams, but he's been out on the field. And he's been here, maybe most importantly, working with this coaching staff and in this defense. So I feel like for LaTerrence Welch, a really big opportunity this spring. One more because everybody's interested. So whenever Brian Kelly says it, we're going to listen because everybody wants to hear about Harold Perkins. And it's very clear how they see Harold Perkins. And it's not at the jack position that he was at a season ago.
Yeah, we want him playing linebacker. We got him on the field last year in an accelerated role based upon the fact that there was just too much for him to digest. And we didn't want to get in the way of too much meant paralysis by analysis, right? So I thought Matt did a great job of making things a lot smoother for him so we could get him on the field and let him play fast. Now it's time to take the whole, position and, teach it. So, he's a linebacker. He's going to play linebacker, and he's fully invested in that position. So you'll see him playing linebacker for us.
I love it. Go be Devin White. And this is a great opportunity to really dig deep into there with guys like Baskerville gone and Mike Jones gone. And the door's open. So go kick it in, kid. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.